So today is December 15th, another Sunday that I'm shooting this video. Um, and so far so good. I mean, obviously, the purpose of this video today was the attention economy, and you know, and entrepreneurship and the attention economy, and just the economy in general for a lot of um, you know people, young people my age, man, around 30, 25, 30, 25, 35, college educated, um, and stuff like that, man, and what it looks like that I'm seeing that you know I think like the obviously you keep hearing about job layoffs and a lot of that type of stuff. You know, it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. I think that I feel like a lot of times, you know, even with me, I'm guilty of it all the time. I think a lot of times, um, my battery power is about to die. A lot of times, I think we see a job as something that you have to be happy with, or you have to have a passion for what you do, or whatever. Like I don't really don't think that's necessarily the case. Um, I think the economy is right now is I mean, I think it's worse than what it looks like. I mean, obviously I'm employed. Um, thank God. I never really had a hard time finding a job because again, I'm an accountant, and so I have a lot of transferable skills. Um, so I never really had a difficult time finding a job. But for most individuals, it is very difficult to find decent paying jobs. I think um, I'm not sure what the unemployment rate is right now. I gotta look at that. So what is the unemployment rate? I'm on Chat GPT right now. So let's just look at this question right now. So right now the unemployment rate is at 4.2%, which that unemployment rate is on the lower end, right? So obviously, for unemployment, if they don't count, if you give up looking for a job, they don't count you in that number. So that 4.2% is easy around 15%, right, of working age adults that are not working, and and I want to jump back to what I said. Um, from what I'm seeing with a lot of these companies out here, I think a lot of times we're, a lot of times people want to be happy and, like they want to be passionate about what they do, but I don't really think that is the case all the time. Um, I think a job is a must-have. That's not necessarily a thing that, you know, that's not something that you can't live without. That's a job is a must-have. You must have a job to be independent, or you have to be an entrepreneur, or be able to make money um, outside of make money somehow. Um, so like a lot of times I tried the Uber and the DoorDash and all that type of stuff. Man, I mean, all those the gig economy. I mean, unless you have like I feel like you have a hard skill. If you're, I don't know if you are an accountant, if you're an engineer, or if you're an electrician, or something like that, something with a real technical skill. It is very hard to find high-paying gig jobs. Most of those jobs are, are for money that you make just to pay your bills and stuff. I mean, just to eat and entertainment. But as far as a solid job, most people are going to fall under that category. That a job is a must-have. And I think the problem that I'm seeing is that a lot of people are getting with the wrong companies, right? Um, you know, the Amazons, the Facebooks, or whatever, whatever like those, um, whatever those jobs are, those popular companies or whatever. I mean, um, those might not be the right companies for a lot of people, right? So obviously, um, the values of a company is very important, right? What the company stands for, right? If it has no, and one thing that I notice is that a lot of these companies are, you know, are short term. They're looking for short term results, um, just to pay out shareholders, just to make the CEO look good at his job. So they're not necessarily, loyalty is not necessarily a question with a lot of these companies. But some companies, that's not necessarily the case with all companies, right? So, what I suggest is that when if you go out and you find a job or something like that, you should definitely look at the values of the company. Like, for example, I'm working with sales and operations right now at Gray Bar. So Gray Bar is in a industry, that is essentially like it's a relationship built industry. It's an industry that it's an old industry, where only way you're going to really be competitive in the industry is by building relationships, and that translates over to the company itself, and it's an employee owned company, and also, um, long term vision. Like all their decisions are made for long term purposes. They don't make short term decisions. So obviously, when they hire people, they're thinking about a long term. They're thinking about long term, right? You have to work your way up through that company. They're not gonna hire you from outside, you know. And a lot of the jobs that you see, on the career page for the public view is very minimum. Most of the jobs that you see for that career page is internal jobs. I mean, only way to see all the jobs that are for this company is um, if you are actual employee. So I mean, a lot of times, you know, I might have learned that the hard way. Your value system is going to dictate what kind of company you work for and how long you stay there, and it's going to dictate your stability. So obviously, um, so if you don't value stability and you get with a company that only for short-term gain, you're going to risk a lapse of unemployment, right? Because they might get rid of you, um, and that's just the reality. And also the reality is that a lot of these employees, I don't know about any other field, but I do know like in accounting, in engineering, and stuff like that. A lot of these companies are inflating your salaries. I mean, yeah, it's quote unquote market rate, but they're paying premium salary for short term decisions. That's not a long term decision being made, right? So, for example, if you're an accountant, with my experience, they might say, "Oh, I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars," right? Um, and that necessarily might not necessarily be a good job because in my head I know that's an inflated salary, right? That job is at risk, right? Because what a company's going to do is they're going to undercut your pay. That's not necessarily a bad thing, right? That just means that okay, they're thinking about long term decision making, right? And that's just the reality. The reality is obviously companies are designed to make money. So if they redo a budget or something like that, I mean, you're going to be out of a job. So I mean, that's just the reality that I see. Um, and 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 that's what I see. I see a lot of big egos working in positions that they're not necessarily supposed to be working in, right? Um, uh, and so the main problem that I see, especially at the bigger cities, right? If you're in Dallas or LA or San Diego or something like that, and if you may be working with a startup company or something like that, you gotta look at what type of position you have. So, for example, um, they're gonna keep the sales guys, right? If you're a sales guy, a sales rep, or your job is to make money for the company, they're gonna keep that job, right? You're gonna be one of the last ones to leave that company because your job is to make that company money. But if you're working in a general administrative position, accounting or data analyst position or something like that, you're going to be at risk of losing that job, right? That job is expensible. You're an expense to the company, right? And if you're an expense to the company, they're inflating your salary, and that company is not doing so well with false revenue projections, that job is at risk, right? And look at that values of that company, and stuff like that. If they value short-term gain, they're going to make short-term decisions. That's just the reality, And I don't really think that. A lot of times, even with me, I'm guilty of it too. You job hop every 24 months and stuff like that. That's not good for majority of individuals, right? If you're an average person like me, right? Most people are going to fall in that category, right? If you don't come from a top university or something like that, you're put in a bucket with everybody else, man. I mean, you have to work your way to the top. Like if you got to provide value, nobody cares, right? That's just the reality. So I mean, I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of these companies, they value short-term gains over long-term, over their long-term vision. That's not part of their value system, right? And so they're going to promote people who can get them the best short-term gains. And they're going to keep those who can get them the best short-term gains. And that's is what I see. I just keep seeing a lot of this stuff on YouTube about job layoffs and stuff like that. Man, I'm telling you, a job is a must-have. I'm not trying to figure out why are people making it seem like a job is something that it's like a job is an if or but this doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, it's a recipe for disaster, and I'm guilty of that too. I want to be like passionate about this and passionate about that. I just happen to have certain interests that I like. That just so happen to be, high-paying type jobs, right? And it's for sure not for everybody, right? And let me reflect back at Gray Bar, and what that means for what I want to do in the future, and I want to reflect on that first, right? So right now I'm working sales and operations at Gray Bar, which Gray Bar is a wholesale distributor in the electrical industry, where you pretty much sell electrical datacom equipment to electricians and contractors that are designing infrastructure, and why is this job important, and why this decision is important, and what I believe is important. So stability is the foundation that is important, right? I mean, like I said, it's just a time every 24-month period of switching job to job. I mean, that's just not my. I mean, I don't believe in that. That's just ridiculous. I think a job is a must-have. Period. You must have a job at all times. And I'm a single with no kids, and that's just being a man, right? that's just being a man. You got to figure out a way how to make money at all times, either it's through entrepreneurship or or that said a job. So that's not necessarily an if or but for me personally. I think that is a must. So, and like I said, and obviously the value system at Gray Bar is what I stand on. Long-term focus and being able to work through a company and seizing opportunities at that particular company. Right? There's a trend in that. Right? The individuals that are able to do that, they go farther in that company. Right? Because shareholders, management, they're looking for people that are going to represent that company, right? And they're going to do that, represent those values at a high level. And that's kind of like what I noticed as far as getting ahead, and beating that world of uncertainty. So if you know that, okay, we live in a world of uncertainty, why would you go work for a company that values short-term gains? That doesn't make any sense to me. Right? So if you know that, okay, we live in a world of uncertainty, we have to go out. I got to go out and get a job that with a company that values long-term solutions, long-term vision. They're going to have 15, 20-year revenue projections, right? You got to get with a good company for that as far as stability, right? It's not necessarily going to have to be the highest paying job. It's going to pay a good amount where I can cover my bills and grow from that as far as stability. That's the idea with that. And obviously, and guess what? And I'm working in sales and operations. Man, when I applied for that job, only thing I put for there was, I got a master's degree in accounting. And I'm a CPA candidate and did all this stuff in accounting. Man, when I applied to that sales and operation job, I only put one job and a degree. That's it. I didn't even put a lot on that resume. People don't care about all the fancy things you've done. What colleges you went to. People don't care about none of that. You haven't really done nothing in that particular company yet. If you go get hired at wherever you get hired at, no one cares. They only want, you haven't done anything at that company yet. So they don't get rid of you. You haven't really done anything at that company. So that's just the reality. So that's my thing. So if you want to, go out and beat the world of uncertainty, you got to get with the company that values long-term relationships. Not jumping around here and there. That's not very smart. And I feel like a lot of people my age, a lot of professionals my age, they get into that. They get into that cycle of doing that, which stagnates you. As you get older, there's only so many opportunities you're gonna get. So jumping jobs every 24 months, that doesn't make any sense. Jumping jobs every 24 months is for a little bit more money. That's just ridiculous. The world doesn't work like that. You only make so much money in your field. That's, like I said, that's an employee mentality. That's not an owner's mentality. Because an owner's mentality is that you're going to go out and you're going to build within that particular company, right? Over a 30-year period, 15, 20-year period, right? You're going to get good at that. And so I just want to reflect on this, and unemployment for professionals and layoffs right now. I do know that, accounting, unless you're working at, I'm not working in accounting right now. I chose to work in sales, sales and operations, because that's what I need to work on. I need to work on my relationship building, my people skills, stuff like that. I need to get more comfortable working in a team environment that's not behind a computer, right? Where I'm face to face with the customer, and I can work on that, right? And that's good, and I wanted that to carry over to and it after I passed my CPA exam, I wanted to go and create an accounting firm, um, and be a consultant in the accounting industry and build a business out of that. Um, so that's kind of like my thought process and the carry over to that. And also, and it's not, and one thing that I had to learn very hard in life, if you want to get ahead, it's not all about yourself. It's not all about, okay, what can I take from somebody? What can I take from this company? What can I take this community? Because it doesn't make sense. You have to give more than what you take. And that's how you get ahead. And even in business, man, you have to make more money than you spend. So obviously, with your energy, you have to give more than what you take. That's just how the world works. I mean, it's just not. There's no other way around that. That's just the reality. The reality is you have to give more than what you take. That's how you get ahead. And being a community member and doing stuff like that, that's what I noticed. People who get ahead, people who know that. I mean, that's just the reality. And you can go out and be an entrepreneur and make how much counts in dollars. That could be done, but you still have to give more than you're going to take at the entrepreneurship level. You have to build a business. You may be building a business for years without really seeing any money. I mean, when I built my accounting firm with my partner, I mean, we started making money pretty quick. But it's still, there's a period of time where, okay, I wasn't really able to take a paycheck. My co-founder wasn't able to take a paycheck until we started making a lot more money and started building relationships. That's just the reality. And yeah, I just want to report on that. And then the attention economy. The attention economy is, I think it's pretty cool that you can make money by just getting everyone's attention, right? I mean, obviously you need to get people attention so they can notice you. So that's important. That's how that is the forefront of that. And I want to hit on that topic because that's a big topic that I want to hit on. And obviously I'm still working on my relationship building, and being able to trust people, as far as like, in a systematic process for being successful, right? But obviously you got to look at it from a perspective where it has to make sense, And I see a lot of me, and I'm guilty of that too, man. And I see a lot less, okay, where can I give? It's entrepreneurship the same way, right? How can my product or service be of use, right? What can I give more than I take away from that particular sector of the economy? And that's what I think someone walked outside of my door. I don't know, but that's just the reality of that situation. I just want to get on that and touch on that, and the importance of that. So that's what I learned in my 30 years of living on this earth. So that's just what I want to talk about, guys. Is the economy, and that's about it. I think I want to touch a little bit more on the attention economy and what that meant, about the entertainment side of things. And this is more of a self-reflection, right? If anyone doesn't watch it, I'm going to rewatch this, right? So I can remind myself of the reality of the world that we live in. And yeah, man, most people out here are struggling to live, man. I don't know what the reality is with you, man, but I like to look at life for what it is. and I like to see like, okay, where I'm trying to go, and I try to get to that. I don't know, sure. Someone's outside my door. I try to look at life for what it is, and then try to build from there. A lot of people are struggling in this economy, and that's just the reality. I feel like there's ways to get ahead with student loans and high cost of living. I think he's got to be a little more strategic. So a lot of times you have to rethink a blueprint. That's what I'm doing. So yeah, so I think that's just the reality. Most people out here are struggling to survive. Yep. And that's just real. Thank God I have a decent paying job. And I gotta be able to have the opportunity to work for Graybar. I love this company. I may not be the easiest guy to work with, right? But I'm still holding on to that, and working my way through that. So that's just the reality. The world of uncertainty. We live in a world of uncertainty. So you got to combat that first. And once you combat that, then that's how you succeed or get ahead in this world. So, what else do I want to talk about? I think that's about it.